reading Chapter 3 of The Deadly Dungeon by Ron Roy, published in 1998. And we have a cool little scene here of a picnic and a cave, and it looks like something exciting is going to happen in that cave. And if you look, if we looked at the other map, we saw that you can go down to the water from the side of the cliff from Moose Manor. Okay. The kids stared at Wallace in silence. She winked at them. Don't worry, that's just his way of saying hello. Shall we go down? Would you go down if you heard a ghost down at the bottom of a cavern? I don't think so. The kids glanced at each other, then followed Wallace down the wooden stairs. At the bottom, they found a small sandy beach. Dink and Josh set the basket in the shade of some boulders, while Wallace and Ruth Rose spread the blanket. Look, a cave, Josh said, pointing at a tunnel at the bottom of the cliff. The sea snaked into the dark hole, making a narrow river. How far does it go down in? Josh asked, peering into the black space. I don't know, Wallace said. Walker told me that it's full of bats. They picnicked on chicken sandwiches, apples, chocolate chip cookies, and cold lemonade. Wallace pointed down the shoreline. Walker's house is beyond those trees. Okay, so here's Walker again, her brother. That could be like a hint, because remember Walker was one of the people in the beginning. Where's he? Asked Dink. Out on his boat, Wallace said, waving a cookie at the ocean. His lobster pots are scattered over about a half mile of very deep water. How does he find them? Josh asked. Wallace wiped her fingers on a paper napkin. Well, he has a good compass aboard Lady Luck. That's his boat, and he knows the water. After their picnic, Wallace put everything back into the basket. Ready for a walk? They hiked along the rocky beach. Ruth Rose poked into tide pools and picked up shells. Josh hung his sneakers around his neck and waded along the shore. Better watch out for lobsters, Dink teased. They like smelly toes. Josh grinned and splashed Dink. Rounding a curve in the shoreline, Wallace pointed. There's Walker's place. It's a gray cottage with a red roof surrounded by dune grass and sand. Just then they heard a shout. Dink looked around and saw someone waving from the end of the dock. Wallace waved back. Kids, come and meet our friend Ripley Pierce. Ripley Pierce. Okay, here's another character that is being introduced. They walked out on the dock toward a long green boat tied at the end. The boat's brass and wood trim gleamed in the sunlight. A man stood next to the boat holding a drippage sponge. He had a dark slicked-back hair and blue eyes. Hi, Rip, Wallace said. Meet Dink Duncan, Josh Pinto, and Ruth Rose Hathaway. The man smiled and stuck out a hand. He had dazzling white teeth and a deep tan. You're fans of this lady's book, right? I got all of them, Dink announced. I met these three in Connecticut, Wallace explained. They're spending a week up at the castle. Why don't you come for supper with us tonight? I like your boat, Ruth Rose said. It's so shiny and clean. Rip flashed her a grin. Thank you very much, little lady. I'll see you tonight at dinner. Then he looked at Josh. Want me to untie me? He asked, pointing to a rope tied to the end of the dock. Josh untied the rope and handed it to Rip. Nice meeting you, kids, he said, stepping aboard his boat. He started the engine, and the boat pulled smoothly away from the dock. Dink watched the boat cut through the water. Maybe I won't be a writer when I grow up. Maybe I'll get a lobster boat. Wallace grinned at Dink. Better stick to writing, Dink. Lobsters are getting scarce in Maine. I can't wait to go out on Walker's boat, Ruth Rose said. My brother's boat is nothing like Rip's, Wallace said. She shook her head. I don't know how Rip keeps his so clean. Walker's boat looks and smells like a lobster boat. They walked back toward their picnic spot. Josh kicked water on Ruth Rose, and she chased him down the beach, yelling all the way down. Dink walked quietly along with Wallace. Overhead, a seagull cried out. Dink looked at Wallace. Do you really think that scream that we heard was from the ghost of Emery Scott? Wallace laughed. All I know is I've been hearing those screams since I moved in. The first time I searched the castle, but I never found a thing. Dink shivered. Do you hear noises a lot? He asked. Wallace shrugged. Sometimes weeks go by and there's not a peep. Then I'll hear them a few days in a row. Wallace smiled down at Dink. To tell you the truth, Dink, this is one mystery that's got me stumped. If those screams aren't the ghost of Emery Scott, I don't know what they are. we'll pick up next time reading chapter 4.